CFA is getting more popularity in recent years, in terms of the number of the candidates and also the number of the charter holders, both in Thailand and also, globally. So what is the message to you?
Well, the message tells us that global financial markets are growing, especially in this part of the world. It tells us that the CFA is getting a lot more acceptance and getting more popular amongst employers, amongst regulators, and across industry segments globally, not just in the United States or Europe, especially in Asia. We've seen a lot of, I think, interest that comes from growing financial segments across this region. So that's really a positive step for CFA Institute.
Right. And where's the growth come from? Like, in terms of the number of the candidates and also the number of those who passed the level 3 exam.
Right. Well, we have a very positive, steady growth in the charter holder base globally, but we're excited about the growth in the candidate registrations, especially that comes out of Asia. And we've seen a huge pickup in terms of registrations from the big emerging countries. We have started also to have an office in Latin America, in Buenos Aires, that we opened up an office last year. We're showing growth from there. But in Asia is where we think most of the excitement is going to come from.
Why is that? I mean, why the growth is come from like Asia?
Well, two things. I think Asia has kind of been lagging behind the U.S. and Europe in terms of financial market development.
Right.
Asia has seen a lot of industrial growth, and now it's time where the country gets to a stage where financial market development is critical to support the growth of the real economy. And we've seen a lot of interest in banks, in asset management, in financial services, and that's really good and positive for the CFA Institute, where we produce a lot of good quality research analysts and investment managers and financial advisors to support the industry. I think candidates realize that with the CFA charter, it's actually a very good support base for them to get into the industry and to be part of the industry and to support the industry.
What would be the benefit of the charter holders over other certificates or other curriculum?
I think the CFA charter is a gold standard in the investment field and the research field. And more important than that, I think the CFA charter stands for ethical investments, ethical advice.
That's the most important.
That is critical in these times that we're talking about.
Right.
And so where we've seen what happened in the global financial crisis, where there was a lot of mis-selling globally, there was a lot of breakdown in trust. The CFA Institute and its charter holders have been fortunate in getting out of this situation without any impact, and we have been able to uphold those standards. And I think that's really positive for the Institute.
Right. And what makes the knowledge is so special? Is it more practical compared to other certificate?
We are very strict and have very good quality control in terms of upholding the professional standards that require all our charter holders to have. The exam is rigorous, as you know, and there is on top of that a 4-year requirement that you need to have industry experience before you get the charter. So it's not only passing level 3, you need to have 4 years of industry working experience. And so that for us to finally become a charter holder, you have passed a lot of hurdles and controls before we say, okay, you are a qualified charter holder. Being a charter holder has a huge responsibility. They have to sign a professional conduct statement. So with the professional conduct statement, it testifies that you not only know what you need to know, you need to have the professional excellence, you also need to uphold the ethical conditions and ethical standards.
So what's the contribution of the CFA charter holder, especially during the financial time, the financial crisis since 2008 until now?
Well, we have strived to find ways of helping industry restore trust. One of the things that we have done at the CFA Institute is to create what we call an asset manager code. So what this code does is that it allows companies who say, well, we have a code of conduct for our employees, and that we stick with we adhere to the CFA Code of Conduct, and companies sign out to the Asset Management Code. So we have close to 600 companies have signed up globally for the Asset Management Code, saying that, well, we uphold the Code of Conduct that is spelled out in the CFA Institute. That gives, I think, investors globally, or does help investors globally, to understand that these companies maintain a universal code of conduct of ethics in their operations and in their representation and in their advice to clients. So this is one of the big projects at the CFA Institute. So we know that at a personal level, the CFA charter holder, when he gets the charter, has to sign a personal conduct statement every year.
Okay.
And that maintains that he has to adhere to the code of conduct and the code of ethics of the CFA Institute.
That's the reason why CFA charter holders have important role in terms of recover investor confidence, especially financial difficulties at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. We focus a lot on the professional excellence, continuing education, continuing professional development, but at the same time keeping in mind that the ethical component is also critical to part of that excellence in performance and professionalism.
And what's the difference between CFA charter holders compared to CFA CFA charter holders?
Well,
what makes special in terms of employers' eyes and qualities perspective?
I think employers like the fact that the CFA exam is a rigorous exam, that the CFA charter holders do have a minimum qualified standard, and they do most times understand what it takes to be a good professional investor or representative in this market. And also, I think employers also realize that there is a universal standard that would be fulfilled by the CFA candidate or CFA charter holder. I think it's a standard that is well accepted by the best investment firms and banks. And in Asia, I think there's an increase in interest in trying to get on par with the standards as upheld in the U.S. markets and in European markets.
Right.
And that's again, I think, spells the trend and direction for the Institute in this part of the world.
And according to the survey in December, the CFA Institute, have quite pessimistic about, both economics outlook and also the capital markets outlook in 2012. And after 2 weeks of 2012, you still have this, remain the same view?
Well, you're right. We had this global survey of our membership base for quite some time already, and during the crisis and after the crisis, there was a lot of pessimism from our membership base. It's not only from our membership base, it's throughout globally, from investors, from the market, about the state of financial markets. And I expect this will continue to go on. This is essentially a breakdown of trust from all that has happened. And as we know, trust takes a long time to rebuild. It takes a moment to destroy, but it takes a long time to rebuild. The CFA Institute is committed to helping rebuild this trust. And I think CFA Institute is kind of the flagship under the global standards here. So we believe that the market has broken down in some ways, and we want to help that. I think this state of affairs is not going to be over so quickly. The European situation will take quite some time to repair. The government situation does not look so good. The U.S. tends to look a little bit better, but again, as things go, trust takes some time to rebuild. We're not looking at a 1 year kind of getting back to where it was.